This is my grandmother, Marie Gastella. If you know her, you are probably used to seeing her in some combination of three settings. In the kitchen, making world-class food, with her family, doting on the young ones, or in her chair, reading, crocheting, or saying prayers.
I was born in 1924. Uncle Buster was born in 1921 because we're 3 years apart.
Okay.
And Kay was born in 27, Jack in 28. Rose, I think, Grace was.
It's a lot to keep track of. My grandmother grew up in a large Italian family, the second oldest of 7. There are her parents, Sam and Christine, and then Buster, Marie, Kay, Jack, Grace, and little Rose in my great-grandmother's arms. Soon after that, they were joined by their youngest, Christine.
Well, Grandpa got here toward the turn of the century.
I took this footage in the summer of 2016, hoping to collect some of the stories of our family, especially the ones I loved to hear while growing up. My great-aunt Chris calls my grandma the family historian, and she's right. My plan had been to put together her histories in one place so that my children could hear the same stories that I did. But the following year, on March 25th, my grandmother passed away, and suddenly it became more important to me, not only to preserve our family's stories, but to preserve a piece of her as well.
When I think about Grandma, I most vividly picture her cooking.
At the age of 16, I was able to meet Marie, and it was love at first bite. So
She was world famous for her cannoli.
Her food.
Her food was really good. Her food was known the world over.
Was amazing.
Her food was really amazing. What's your record on cannolis?
Not as many as Ellery.
Probably only had a couple cannolis at our first Christmas or Easter or whatever. And then the second family gathering, I probably had 8.
Each meal, each dish represented a holiday. It represented a specific time that was special to her, and it represented family.
They were all just made with such love, such care, such passion, and you knew that they were made for you. You were eating her food while talking to her because she wanted to know about you, wanted to know about your day.
We always had dinner on Wednesdays with her and Uncle Frank, and she would cook a fabulous meal, and we would always have nice talks afterwards about the past, the present, music.
She went through telling me the different holidays that they had, Bruges Luna, and the different foods. I could see in her mind that she was remembering all those events vividly, and who was there, and the time they spent making those dishes as a family.
And her appreciation for family was just completely unmatched, and not even just our family, but the way that she would talk about her own family and her parents and her siblings.
Her pride for her parents and her siblings and her kids and her grandkids and her great-grandkids, and she was just so proud of who she was, where she came from, everything that she had done and everything that was going to happen, her legacy.
Had a absolutely fantastic memory.
She did have a great memory, and weaved her stories with such vivid detail it would keep us all at the edge of our seats. One of our favorite of her stories was one of her brother, Buster, in the Battle of the Bulge during World War II.
They went out on reconnaissance. Okay. Bus was in charge of was carrying a bazooka. That's a gun, and it's a big heavy job, carried on his shoulders. So he wasn't moving fast. He couldn't move fast with it. And they did get him. And so he was laying on the ground, and he wasn't breathing. So that's when they started to shoot around him. Can you imagine him laying there and not moving a muscle? And once he was sure that they were gone, then he started heading back to camp. And I said, my God. "Who do you know that has a straight line to the man upstairs?" He said, "My mother." Because he knew Grandma would, pray and never stop praying for her loved one.
That faith that supported her family through the war was a significant part of my grandma's identity. She and her families found such community at church, and she had a special devotion to the Blessed Mother and to Father Solanus.
When I think about Grandma, I think mostly of faith and food. She was up every single morning, praying, doing anything she could, to get closer with God.
She wouldn't even take Motrin, or she wouldn't even take Tylenol or anything to stop the pain, because she wanted to use that pain as an offering to God for the poor souls of purgatory.
Because she kept on saying, "Look at the crucifix, how can I take a Tylenol?" And he never wasted anything.
Yeah, she never wasted anything. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And even her pain. Even her pain. So, yeah, that was incredible.
That is incredible.
So Grandpa bought the house, and it was near what we call the monastery, but that's what it was, Franciscan monastery. And that's where Father Solanus was. And everybody talked about what a holy man he was. And I never met him. I'm not sure that I ever saw him, but all the priests that were there were really sweet people. They were really nice. I went to Our Lady of Sorrows. Our Lady of Sorrows, the school had up to the 8th grade, and there were Dominican nuns that taught there. And they could be pretty strict at the time, boy, And they had a ruler that was about this wide, about that thick. And God help you if they used that thing on you. Because they could be pretty rough. But it was a nice parish. We had a choir. I joined the choir. And I liked the choir. I liked the singing part of it. And it was nice. So they had a real good choir. And I graduated from there, the 8th grade, and then from there.
There are certain things I noticed. The warmth of her voice and the laughter in her eyes. These unmistakable markers of love that made us all feel so at home with Grandma.
She'd ask you how you were doing, and everything was about you. The night we got engaged, we stopped by to see your grandma and grandpa, because I was sitting there looking at your Grandpa Bill and Grandma, and how close they were sitting together on the couch. And at that time, I don't know how long they would have been married, but the affection that they had for each other at that point. And I knew I had made the right choice before, but that just reconfirmed everything for me with the example they set. And that was something that I hope that I leave for my children, and anybody that sees me sees the love that we have for family.
We went over there with Sal, and she just lit up as soon as that kid got in there. And in fact, she could barely move, but she made him blow her a kiss. And she goes way back like this to make sure she caught it.
And when Grandma first met Amanda, he gave her a big giant hug. I can't even remember her exact words now, but she made Amanda feel part of like a part of the family. Grandma had that effect on people. When you were around her, you were part of her family. Her and Oliver, their son, they just had the biggest bond. I can't even explain it. Oliver will still wave hello to her pictures on the wall.
What was the best thing about going to Nona's house?
Baking cookies.
Baking cookies?
Yeah, eating cookies.
And eating cookies at Nona's.
She started the nose beep. Beep, beep, beep. And that's something that Salvatore has continued to do. So it always reminds us of her. So that's a very nice thing.
It was at our Grandpa Bill's funeral home. My grandma took one of the roses from his funeral flower arrangements that were, all over the room, and she put the rose in her teeth, and she did this.
I remember that.
like this little dance, and it was
That
the
was
most unexpected thing. Even though it was a moment that was so sad for her, she cared so much about making sure that the rest of us were happy and just in good spirits. That was just the kind of woman that she was.
I was helping her hang curtains. As a reward, she gave me some lavender lining for my drawers. And she said, and I quote, "They will make your clothes smell sexy." Which is a sentence I never thought I'd hear Grandma say.
When I was in 8th or 9th grade, I did a report with Grandpa about his time in the war. And, you know, Grandpa was always strong, but there were things that he didn't like talking about, and the time in the war was definitely one of those things. For some reason, when Grandma was in the room while we were talking, he opened up. And every once in a while, you could see him look over to her kind of for strength, you know, but seeing them kind of in a different light was actually pretty remarkable to me. And it was great to see.
I was unfortunate to not know either of my grandmothers, but I was lucky at a young age to start dating somebody that had a really great one. Grandma would always ask about my mom and my brother. You know, she didn't really know them, but she cared, and you know that she cared. So that is why she was truly a special person.
They always treated me like one of her own grandkids, which was wonderful because I lost my grandma at a very young age. So I always felt like I belonged and that I was always there, just one of the gang.
I spent 3 semesters at Lawrence Tech in Southfield, and I spent my 3rd semester there with Grandma and Grandpa Gustella. Towards the end, when I was working on my final project, I had to get some stuff printed at school, and they didn't take checks, and all I had was my checkbook, so I had to borrow some money from Grandma Gustella, and it was just $20, not a whole lot, and I paid her back right away after I had finished everything, and she started crying and gave me a big hug. I realized that as wonderful a grandma as she's always been, she really missed just being mom.
You know, who she was just all about love, you know, all about love and all about welcoming everybody. And I really feel that today that this family is a family of love and a family of joy. And that was all nurtured by her first, you know, because, you know, she was awesome.
She was really awesome. She was really awesome.
As I look back now, there are many more things I wish I would have asked her, especially about her own children. Like Lou said, she was a mother before she was our grandmother, and in many ways this is the side of my grandma I know the least about, even though it's also the side that has shaped my life the most. I once heard someone say that we as descendants are a mosaic of the people who came before us. Who Grandma was for her children, they became for us. So of all of the things we have to thank Grandma for, this is the proudest legacy we have.